Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Phoenix and this is the Consumer's Guide to Filmmaking. The Accountant 2. Or The Accountant Squared, because the 2's the tiny one at the top. Either way, it's the sequel. 2025, Gavin O'Connor. Taking place 8 years after the events of the first film, the man known as Christian Wolff continues his accounting work for the world's seediest people, all while living a quiet, uneventful life. However, Wolff is called upon by Deputy Treasury Director Mary Beth Medina to aid her in a case. When Ray King is murdered, King's final case, a missing boy by the name of Alberto, was left unsolved. Wolff soon realizes that the rabbit hole that is this case goes deeper than expected, and he requires the aid of his brother Braxton. With multiple parties having a vested interest in the case of Alberto's whereabouts, Christian, Braxton, and Mary Beth must find Alberto first at all costs. Let's go! My favorite autistic action hero has returned, but this time, while I was certainly entertained by this newest entry, I was also left a little unimpressed. Where the film takes a big hit is the action department. With double the budget of the previous film, the set pieces are certainly bigger in scope. The giant firefight in that Mexican compound was certainly something, but the presentation of the action in this film was quite inconsistent. Some of it was pretty good, such as most of that final firefight in Mexico, or the fight between Mary Beth and Agnes. The cuts were there mostly to hide stunt work, and the camera allowed us to feel the blows in these scenes. Other times, the film got a little too cut-happy with the action, such as during the first fistfight in the factory. Hell, they didn't even show the fight at the cowboy bar. That scene ended with a comedy freeze frame and smash cut to people getting thrown out a window. Really bizarre choice, honestly, but I guess it fit the tone of this particular movie, and I'll be touching on said tone in a little bit. Whether the lack of flow to these action set pieces was because Ben and John were getting bigger paydays and weren't willing to take some bumps, or the crew got lazy, I don't know. Either way, it was pretty disappointing. But Gavin O'Connor still showed some chops in other areas. His framing is as tight as ever during quieter scenes, and he loves his natural lighting. I loved how the sun warmly beat in on these interior settings, and I loved how dim they could be at night. The music in this film, once again composed by Mark Isham, was definitely a highlight of these proceedings. I found with this entry, the score took on an ambient nature. The compositions were quieter and more content to just sit in the background. Still, I could feel the music enhancing certain moments in very distinct manners. The piece that played during the hacking sequence felt like this wondrous sci-fi moment where we were seeing something otherworldly. The piece that played during the fight between Mary Beth and Agnes took on this foreboding and tragic feeling, and while Mary Beth didn't die, it certainly gave us the impression that she might. The only bit of music that I didn't care for was the licensed song at the end. I don't know what song it was or who it was by, but it was kinda trash. Compared to the previous movie, which ended on a very touching singer-songwriter song that lyrically melded with the themes and arcs contained in the end of that movie, this shitty pop song playing over the end of this film made it feel cheap and corny. Just not a fan at all of this. The script by Bill Dubuque takes on a different tone compared to the first film. The Accountant 2, by all accounts, is a less serious movie. It leans more into the comedic elements than it does the serious stuff. There are serious elements to this story, and as a thriller, it does tie itself together nicely with some decent plot twists. I really dug when Agnes was revealed to be the mother of Alberto, and that whole backstory was very emotionally resonant. This particular film, though, hinges on the buddy comedy dynamic between Christian and Braxton. These two brothers try to sort out their familial issues over the course of this movie, and since Christian is autistic, he struggles to understand the emotions that Braxton is feeling. This brings about moments both funny and heartfelt. However, through kicking ass and being bros, they eventually hash their shit out, and finally are able to be normal brothers. At least until they have to kick ass and take names again. Now, all of this is Perfectly fine. I like the buddy comedy dynamic between Christian and Braxton. Ben Affleck and Jon Bernthal are back in this movie as their respective characters, and these two just had such a wonderful chemistry with each other. Jon Bernthal's naturally boisterous and loudmouthed demeanor was the perfect foil for Ben going full autism once again. But part of me feels like leaning into the buddy comedy schlock of it all kind of undercuts the elements of the previous film that I adored. Sure, the previous film was funny in many ways, but it had a more clear, serious tone and managed to execute some big emotions really well. I guess, in a way, this tone just wasn't what I was looking for, but it was executed pretty well, so there's that. The rest of the cast definitely hold their own with Ben and John, though. Cynthia Adai Robinson returns as Mary Beth Matina, and she really excelled in the more comedic scenes. Playing the straight woman foil to Christian and Braxton's weirdness made for moments that had me cracking up big time. Daniela Pineda plays Agnes. I think she had another name, but I can't recall it at the moment. And she was very good. She was very good. A stoic assassin type, the more backstory we get with her, the bigger the emotional payoff was when she regained her memories. And she sold that moment excellently. Also, J.K. Simmons showed up for a cup of coffee. I'm always happy when he's getting paid. So in the end, I can appreciate the strengths of The Accountant 2 very much. The buddy comedy tone of this film is executed quite well by Ben Affleck and Jon Bernthal. Add to that, it's an tightly written thriller story. But a schlocky comedic tone isn't exactly why I loved the first film. Taken for what it is, The Accountant 2 is a fun time, and I didn't hate it at all. I like it quite a bit. I just think this is a case of it not quite being for me. But for others, this could be a damn fun movie they connect with more than me. I don't know. And I'm feeling a 7.5 out of 10 on this one. It's a fun time, even if it wasn't exactly the movie I was looking for. Catch you later, guys.